This is the true image of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And by the end of this video, I will show you that image clearly. But what image have they given you instead? An angry face, a short weapon in his hand, rough clothing, a cave or a tunnel, a group of irregular armed men, presented as violent and aggressive, without any real divine or moral proof. This is the picture they present as the Caliph of the Muslims, as the so-called Islamic State, as the representative of Islam, through cinema, through media, through carefully designed characters and armed groups. And they want to plant this image not only in the mind of a Western individual, but even in the subconscious of you, the one born to Muslim parents. They repeat it until it feels like truth. And they say to you, this is Islam, this is its prophet. And not only that, they also say that anyone who wants to practice Islam as the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught, will become like groups such as ISIS and similar organizations. While in reality, even by their own admissions, many of these groups were created, supported, and manipulated by intelligence systems for two main purposes. First, to damage the image of Islam, to destabilize Muslim lands, and eventually to intervene in those countries under the name of protection and rescue from what they label as Islamic extremism. And this label, Islamic extremism or Islamophobia, has an impact on the Muslim mind greater than hundreds of atomic bombs. It shapes perception, it reshapes identity, and anyone who wants to practice Islam properly is quickly labeled an extremist Muslim. And the consequence of attaching this title and image to a Muslim person has affected not only Western minds, but even the minds of people who are counted among Muslims themselves. This repeated narrative has planted in your mind the idea that a person from the East is always backward, always subordinate, always harsh. While they present themselves as saviors, as defenders of freedom, as protectors of animals and the environment, and they ask you to accept all of these distorted narratives. So here is the real question. Who was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? What kind of person was he? How did he rule? How did he deal with people? He was not extremist. He was not brutal. He was not isolated in caves. He was not rebellious without principle. He was not driven by worldly desires. Never. Unlike many today who speak in the name of Islam and present themselves as leaders, yet use insults, harsh speech, and ego. He was not vulgar. He was not abusive. He was not greedy. He stood firmly against division, factions, and groupism. He lived by the principle of the Quranic verse, and hold firmly to the rope of Allah altogether and do not become divided. Even in appearance, he was a man of balanced build, neither tall nor short, broad-shouldered, strong chest, wide forehead. He had thick, full hair and beard. His hair sometimes reached his shoulders, and at times to the middle of his ears. His eyes were dark, his eyelashes long, his eyebrows curved and slightly connected, and there was always a smile upon his lips. He was not harsh, not rigid, not like the manufactured caliph figures created by intelligence-driven narratives, who are presented like puppets and shown to you as the model of Muslim leadership. And whenever they wish, they remove them and end the scenario. Muhammad, peace be upon him, cared about his physical appearance and the balance of his body. He was never a man who used his religion to eat excessively or accept invitations just to satisfy his appetite. Rather, he would say, eat only enough so that your hunger disappears. Do not overeat. Choose what is good. And do not prioritize taste over what is right. Not like some who claim religious authority today, who pressure people for invitations, whose stomachs walk half a meter ahead of them, because they are treated with the richest meals simply because they claim to represent that great leader, the same leader who would tie stones to his stomach out of hunger. And he did not take a salary for delivering his message. In his speech, there were no insults, no personal hatred, no constant argument, no exposing the private lives of his opponents. Even with enemies and disbelievers, he used the most respectful language. And he acted according to the verse, "Invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction, and debate with them in the best manner." Not like some in our time who claim leadership in religion, who do not hesitate to drag entire families into conflict, who enter one another's private spaces, who publish personal matters on social media, and yet still have followers who support them. He was so gentle, so composed, that even with animals, he showed mercy. He loved children. Children would climb onto his shoulders and feel safe, not like the manufactured figures presented today, who seem in conflict even with their own shadow. He was a wise man, grounded in patience, living under the light of the verse, and advise one another to patience. Even in the most difficult moments, when false accusations of adultery were directed toward his own family, he did not respond like those who, in the name of so-called honor, harm their own relatives. He did not act in rage. Instead, with mercy, he said, "If such a mistake has occurred, seek forgiveness from Allah." Not emotional violence, not dramatic reaction, not, "You have dishonored me." He was never driven by worldly desire, unlike the false accusations sometimes directed at him. At the peak of his youth, when he was strongest, the leaders of Quraysh, his uncles, and his relatives came to him. They asked him to abandon his message. They offered him wealth, as much as he wanted. They offered to make him their leader. They offered the most beautiful women in marriage. But he answered, "If they were to place the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, even if they were to end my life, I would not abandon this message that came to me from Allah." Not women, not money, not power could cool his conviction. If he had been driven by desire, he was at the height of youth and strength. But he refused. Even in the way he walked, he did not turn his head left and right arrogantly. He walked with purpose. His walk was strong, as if his chest and body moved forward with determination. When someone called him, he turned with his entire body, not just his eyes or head. He was never isolated, like the images presented today by intelligence-created groups claiming Islamic authority. He was not cave-bound. He was not withdrawn from society. Every day, he met delegations from different regions and tribes. He joked appropriately. He advised people to smell good and dress well. He encouraged them to oil their hair, to care for their beards. He held responsibility toward his family. Leadership never caused him to neglect his home. When his duties were completed, whether day or night, he returned home, and he helped his family. In general, he was a man of beautiful presence and strong physical character. He was highly articulate, charismatic, and when someone saw him for the first time, they were deeply impressed. He never used his rank, his status, or his fame to enrich himself, to build palaces, villas, gardens, or estates. When someone came to Medina, there was no clear difference between his home and the homes of ordinary people, and when he passed away, he left nothing behind. His home contained little more than a simple mat and a container of water. There were even times when for 3 full months, no fire was lit in his home to cook food. He was exiled, displaced, forced to leave his home for delivering his message, not driven in luxury vehicles, not surrounded by comfort, not paid to speak. He was a man of kindness, generosity, and mercy. Even during war, he prohibited harming children, women, and the elderly, not like the use of mass destructive weapons that burn civilians, animals, and soldiers together, as seen in modern conflicts. His battles were for defense and for delivering the message, not for aggression, not for wealth, not for resources. He built an Islamic state between the 2 great empires of Persia and Rome, and made Islam a system of leadership and dignity, not chaos, not uncontrolled violence, not random killing. Jews, Christians, Muslims, and even non-believers, all had rights and responsibilities within his state. Islamic law was applied with justice, not personal revenge. That is why it is important for you to know these truths that have been hidden from you. Many today who speak in the name of Islam, who have grown comfortable and self-serving, do not represent him. Many of the groups labeled as violent organizations were shaped by political systems and intelligence structures to damage Islam's image. And under the name of Islam, they do not represent his message. Rather, they were built to create a perception that what they represent is Islamic authority. They have convinced many people that whenever Islam is mentioned, it automatically means violence and fear, while in reality, this is a result of political systems that shaped public perception. While presenting themselves as defenders of human rights, freedom, democracy, and even animal rights, but only when it serves their interests. And when it does not serve them, recent global events show that civilians, women, children, journalists, and even animals may be ignored or neglected. I speak here in a general social sense, not emotional slogans. Whether you accept it or not, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a man whose name appears among the most influential figures in human history. 14 centuries after his life, empires rose and disappeared, yet his message continues to grow day by day. And in conclusion, he was not extremist, he was not isolated, he was not a warmonger, he was not driven by appetite or worldly desire. He is completely separate from all groups and organizations that were created within global intelligence conflicts to attack his message. And Allah himself testified about him in the Qur'an. And indeed, you are upon a magnificent character, and whoever stands against him and spreads accusations against him is standing against that divine testimony. And on the day of judgment, they will stand before Allah and his messenger and answer for it. This is the true image of that man, whose message continues until today.